We are continuing to present parts of the work from the well-known ancient Hellenic geographer and historian Pausanias regarding the differences between the ancient Macedonians and the ancient Greeks. In the 7th book, Pausanias clearly separates the Macedonians from the Greeks. Here we read:
When Philip, the son of Demetrius, reached man's estate, and Antigonus, without reluctance, handed over the sovereignty of the Macedonians, he struck fear into the hearts of all the Greeks.
Pausanias writes about the Roman occupation of Macedonia, in which the Romans, led by their general Flamininus, helped the Greeks of the Achaean League. In the 7th book, Pausanias writes:
On his arrival, Flaminius sacked Eretria, defeating the Macedonians who were defending it. He then marched against Corinth, which was held by Philip with a garrison, and sat down to besiege it, while at the same time he sent to the Achaeans and bade them come to Corinth with an army, if they desired to be called allies of Rome, and at the same time to show their goodwill to Greece. But the Achaeans greatly blamed Flaminius himself and Ottilius before him for their savage treatment of ancient Greek cities, which had done the Romans no harm and were subject to the Macedonians against their will. They foresaw too that the Romans were coming to impose their domination both on Achaeans and on the rest of Greece, merely in fact to take the place of Philip and the Macedonians. At the meeting of the League, many opposite views were put forward, but at last the Roman party prevailed, and the Achaeans joined Flaminius in besieging Corinth.
So, even though it was clear to the Achaeans that the Macedonian slavery would be replaced by the Roman slavery, they still engaged in the war against the Macedonians, which was led by the Romans. This speaks enough for the hatred the Greeks had towards Macedonia. Further on, Pausanias writes about the defeat of the Macedonian king Philip V by the Romans, and the consequences after that.
In actual fact, Philip himself and the Macedonian ascendancy had been put down by the Romans. Philip, fighting against the Romans under Flaminius, was worsted at the place called Dogs' Heads, where in spite of his desperate efforts, Philip was so severely defeated in the encounter that he lost the greater part of his army, and agreed with the Romans to evacuate all the cities in Greece that he had captured and forced to submit.
Then Pausanias writes:
The history of Macedonia, the power she won under Philip, the son of Amyntas, and her fall under the later Philip, were foretold by the inspired Sibyl. This was her oracle. Ye Macedonians, boasting of your Argive kings, to you the reign of a Philip will be both good and evil. The first will make you kings over cities and peoples. The younger will lose all the honor, defeated by men from west and east.
Pausanias doesn't give information on where he got the text for this quote and when it was first written. We will mention the grave of the mythical singer Orpheus, for which Pausanias wrote that it can be found in Macedonia. In the 9th book, we read:
The Macedonians who dwell in the district below Mount Perea and the city of Deum say that it was here that Orpheus met his end at the hands of the women. Going from Deum along the road to the mountain and advancing 20 stades, you come to a pillar on the right, surmounted by a stone urn, which, according to the natives, contains the bones of Orpheus.
Moving on, Pausanias writes about the unusual and mysterious events that the people told him about the grave of Orpheus. In the 10th book, Pausanias again points out the Macedonian ethnic origin of the Ptolemaic dynasty.
For the kings of Egypt liked to be called Macedonians, as in fact they were.
Pausanias mentions the names of the Greek tribes that belonged to the Amphictyonic Council, which we already mentioned was an all-Greek organization. They were Ionians, Dolphians, Thessalians, Aeneans, Magnesians, Melans, Dorians, Phocians, and Locrians. Not only are the Macedonians not mentioned here, but not even the people of Epirus are mentioned as a Greek nation. Let's conclude that the writings of the ancient author Pausanias represent another strong weapon against the present-day Greek propaganda.